Brett is slightly neurotic, a little bit type A. He's an interior designer. He is out and with his partner of many years, but I think still has some like internalized stuff from growing up with a family that wasn't super accepting. But I think he's also like very loving and fun, and I think he and Drew have a great relationship.
Drew works in the hospitality hotel industry, a very hard worker, and he's sort of quite hard on himself, I would say. Sort of growing up in a way where his family sort of ostracized him early on when he first came out. He really insists on being a strong sort of anchor. Carrie, who is just way too much fun and is a little too comfortable being around Brett. And she's just a hoot, and with a heart of gold, but really doesn't understand social cues as much as you want her to. Cody, very awkward teenager who also means well, but you cannot get two words out of him no matter what happens.
I think my favorite character to play is Sylvia, who I only play for a couple of scenes, but she's an older lady who's very conservative, is not comfortable with the gay couple whose home she's staying in.
I don't know that I do have a favorite character in the show. I think what I love most about the characters in the show is that you get a chance to feel that sense of a community, even though it's a small and intimate sort of experience watching the show.
I know his writing and I knew sort of the general idea of it and the way it's constructed, and that was the thing that made me reach out to Rob and say I'd love to be considered for this. I think it's such an exciting challenge and it's so fun, and Mark's writing is so great that I knew I would want to be a part of it, and I'm super lucky that I got to.
I hadn't seen the show before or read the show before. When I found out that the Capitol Theatre was doing another Mark Crawford play, I'm like, oh, I really need to be a part of this. And reading the script and realizing that it was just two people playing 20-something different characters, I'm very grateful to have been a part of it. So very lucky, just like Kyle, to have been a part of it, yeah.
I have seen the show before. What was so striking to me as a queer person is that I had never seen a queer story on stage in my community. I was really actually quite concerned that that wasn't going to go over very well, and it went over really well. When I got this job in 2021 at the Capitol Theatre, I wanted to make sure that we built up a bunch of folks who could really appreciate what they were about to see on stage. And that means people who aren't scared of shows where actors play multiple characters. It also means people who aren't scared of queer narratives. It also means, someone who's willing to sort of engage in a play where it's going to be held up by just those two actors for 2 hours. Walking away from these two at the end of every day, we assembled an all-queer team for the show. The joy of being able to explore the darkness and the lightness of being a part of the queer community, surrounded by a bunch of people who are able to and willing to engage in that conversation, is unlike most processes in Canadian theatre. Getting to put together a team of really incredibly talented queer artists and then opening ourselves up to being able to have some of those difficult conversations that we wouldn't necessarily normally have in a rehearsal hall was a really profound experience. And then casting these two schmucks is just the best decision I ever made. And they bring such heart to these characters, and working with actors of this caliber is just the most exciting. It felt like a real gift in that way.
I would be remiss if I didn't say this is my favorite process that I've ever worked on in my entire career. Essentially, every single portion of it has been beautiful. What I hadn't anticipated is the impact that it seemed to have on the community in Port Hope. I'm incredibly grateful for that, specifically working on this show.
Ditto. No, I have nothing else to add of me. No, I think we just had such a nice time together, and I've never had an experience that was just so easy the whole way through. It never got tense. And it was so lovely and so much fun, and then to do a show that is also received in that way is just like kind of like most quintessential wonderful theater experience.
So we have another interview later where Kyle isn't here, right?